All right, welcome. Today we are diving deep into what is, without a doubt, the most complex object in the entire known universe, the human brain. We're going to try and uncover how this one single organ is literally the architect of your entire reality. So let's get right into it.
Really think about that for a second. Every single thought you have, every emotion you feel, every dream you've ever had, it all comes from this one organ. It's a pretty wild idea, right? Well, by the end of this, you'll have a much better handle on the basic mechanics behind it all.
The best way to start is to think of your brain as your own personal supercomputer. It's running countless programs all at once, and it's doing it all from an incredibly small piece of hardware. So first, let's just take a moment to appreciate that scale.
So on average, the adult human brain weighs just about 1.3 kilograms. That's it. That's less than a small laptop. But you really can't let that small size fool you. Because what's packed inside that tiny space, well, that's where things get truly mind-blowing.
Because squeezed into that small mass are roughly 86 billion specialized cells we call neurons. And here's the part that's almost impossible to wrap your head around. Those neurons form trillions of connections with each other. See, it's not just about the number of cells, it's the absolutely insane complexity of the network that gives this supercomputer its unimaginable power. The density is just staggering.
Okay, so structurally, the easiest way to think about the brain is to break it down into three main departments. You've got the cerebrum, which is kind of like the executive suite, where all the big ideas and high-level thinking happen. Then there's the cerebellum. That's the operations floor, coordinating all the complex movements. And finally, you have the brainstem, which is like central utilities, just keeping the lights on and making sure all the essential services are running smoothly.
All right, so now that we've got the basic layout in mind, let's actually take a tour of this command center and see what each of these departments really does. So we're starting at the top in the executive suite, the cerebrum. This is the largest part of the brain, and it's responsible for all those higher-level functions that we really associate with being human, complex thought, language, creating memories, and planning out every single voluntary action. And this executive suite is divided up into even more specialized offices, or lobes, each with a very distinct job. Your frontal lobe is the CEO, right? It's handling all the big decisions. Your parietal lobe is the sensory department, processing stuff like touch and pain. The temporal lobe manages all things hearing and memory. That's how you recognize a song you haven't heard in years. In your occipital lobe, well, it's working hard right this second, processing the visuals on this slide. Okay, let's head down to the operations floor, the cerebellum. This little powerhouse sits at the back of the brain, and it is the absolute master of coordination. Now, it doesn't start the movement, but it fine-tunes it, making it smooth and precise. Every time you walk without stumbling, ride a bike, or type on a keyboard, you've got your cerebellum to thank for that amazing control. And now for the real unsung hero of the whole operation, the brainstem. This is central utilities. It connects your brain to your spinal cord, and it just quietly manages all the vital functions you never, ever have to think about. Your heartbeat, your breathing, your blood pressure. It just works 24/7, keeping you alive. It's pretty incredible. So we've seen the major structures, the big departments, but how do they all talk to each other? How does information get from one place to another? Well, for that, we need to zoom way in to the brain's amazing communication system, the neural network. This entire, unbelievably complex system runs on those billions of specialized cells we mentioned earlier, neurons. Think of them as the brain's messengers. They use this breathtaking combination of electrical impulses and chemical signals to pass information along at lightning speed across that huge network of trillions of connections. So here's a super quick look at how that signal actually travels. First, a neuron's dendrites, they act like little antennas, receiving a signal. If that signal is strong enough, bam, an electrical impulse shoots down its long tail, called an axon. But to get to the next neuron, it has to cross a tiny gap called a synapse. It does this by releasing chemical messengers, neurotransmitters. This elegant little three-step dance happens billions upon billions of times every single second. Okay, let's zoom back out. Now that we have a sense of the structures and that incredible communication network, let's put it all together and look at the brain's role as our body's one and only master controller. When you step back and look at this face, the brain's job description is just immense. It's not only in charge of our consciousness and our ability to learn, but it also governs our emotions and our behaviors. It orchestrates literally every single action, from the conscious choice to raise your hand, all the way down to the involuntary beat of your heart. So you might be asking, why is learning all this anatomy so important? Beyond just being cool trivia. Well, it matters because when something goes wrong in a specific part of the brain, the effects can be absolutely devastating. Understanding which part controls which function is absolutely critical for doctors trying to diagnose and treat neurological conditions like a stroke or diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's.
And that really brings us to our final powerful idea. The brain isn't just another organ like your liver or your kidneys. It's the architect of our thoughts. It's the seat of our consciousness, the keeper of our memories. It is, quite literally, the essence of who we are, a truly remarkable piece of engineering.